Hey there, it's Mackenzie, your host of Winning. We're looking for sponsors for the podcast. If you have a business that you would like to promote to thousands of people, send us an email at podcastwinning@gmail.com or send us a message on social media. I cannot wait to hear from you. Now on to the show.
Winning is your guide to making it in business. Join our award-winning host and entrepreneur, Mackenzie Kilshaw, and special guests in casual conversations that will educate and inspire you on your business journey. Winning will help you learn the hard lessons the easy way with guidance from celebrated entrepreneurs and business leaders. It's fun. It's informative. It's winning.
Hello, welcome to Winning. I am your host, Mackenzie Kilshaw, and today's guest is Curtis Elmy. Hi, Curtis.
Hello, how are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So I'm sure that any of our Saskatchewan listeners have heard of Curtis, but if you don't know who he is, he's the co-founder of Atmosphere Interior Design located in Saskatoon. He has an established client base that spans North America, and their award-winning work has been regularly featured in all leading Canadian design publications and has amassed a huge, it says large here, I'm going with huge, social media presence of engaged followers. Curtis started out as a graphic designer, then went into design. We have two things in common, which I think we'll chat about, but he's been twice on Swinging with the Stars, which is a dance competition that raises money. I know he does lots of stuff with local charities and causes. And he also has a chapter in Conversations Over Coffee, as do I. So I think we're going to talk about that too. So Curtis, that's just a little bit of your bio, which is really impressive. But why don't you just kind of give our audience a little idea of who you are?
Yeah, well, I grew up both Trevor and I are both from Saskatchewan. I grew up in a small town called Saltcoats, just a little bit southeast from Yorkton. And I sort of made my way through, I was never sure, when I graduated high school, what path I was going to take. I actually started in marketing and then just sort of found my way to Saskatoon, where there was a creative side that kept pulling me into a new path. And so it's funny, I was a big fan of Melrose Place. So I'm dating myself, but I
love that show.
I loved Heather Locklear's character. She's kind of that evil, but I loved her life. She's in advertising, and I don't know if it was the Melrose Place, the whole lifestyle that I was drawn to, or actually the advertising part that she did it where she was working. But it was just something about that I felt that was maybe the path that I wanted to take. So I went and started studying graphic design, and it evolved, and then Trevor and I met, and lots of things in between there. But then we both sort of decided that we were, with our skill sets, that we could both together. We originally started thinking about more of an events business where we could mix sort of design, interior design, event planning. The graphic design sort of went hand in hand with all that. And so our original concept was kind of a blend of the two. But then really the more we thought about it, my skill set, I took a little bit of extra training and some technical programming that we use as interior designers. And then it just sort of took off. And then it was kind of this runaway train where it sort of told us that's where our business was going. And that's just sort of how it evolved.
Yeah, it's crazy how most of us start out in one area and get somewhere where we probably didn't even ever think we were going to be.
Well, you're so young. I mean, I always look back at those years of high school, and it's like, I don't know how at that age you have enough life experience to know what you want to do in life. And so I think sometimes you just pick something because that's just the nature of what you do when you're 18, 19 years old. But anyway, our generation anyways, maybe there's a lot more things that, you can study and learn about things now. You just sort of find your way.
Yeah, for sure. What did when you were a kid, what was like your dream of a career? Or did you have something that you're like, this is what I want to do?
No, I mean, growing up in a small town, I mean, sports was such a huge part of our lives. And I was a huge fan of tennis. And I mean, I think, because everything around you is based on sports, whether it's baseball, hockey. So I really did truly believe there was a small chance that I could be a professional tennis player. And then I think that tennis not being a very desirable sport in our area, it's sort of the reality of that sort of slowly, came to life. But I mean, I wanted to get out and be in a big city. I wanted to, see the world, and, a small town just wasn't feeling like that was going to be my, perfect place to grow up and to live my life. So I just was always looking at something a little bit bigger and with a lot more opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. And I grew up also in small town Saskatchewan. And I think a lot of it was, what are you going to do when you grow up? You're going to move to the big city, and you're either going to get a job or you're going to go to school. Yeah. That was your two options.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and lots of times, I mean, I love growing up in a small town. I don't regret that. I think it was a big part of allowing me to become who I was or am. But yeah, you just don't see a lot of things. You don't bump into different people that often. And so there's not as many outside influences that allow you to help guide you into what you want to do or what options you have or where your skills as a young person. Where are you going to find where you're successful, and also not only where you're successful, but what do you like about that path? I mean, because you can be good at something, but you may not like it. And that's always a struggle for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, our age of people, if you kind of grew up 70s, 80s, early 90s, being an entrepreneur wasn't really a thing. I mean, there was people that owned small business, but people weren't like, what do you love doing? You should create yourself a career of what you love doing. That didn't happen. I think it does happen more now, but it wasn't a thing.
Well, it's applauded now. There's a lot more people that, and that's the funny thing about our business is we set out when we started Atmosphere Interior Design, we wanted to be creative people. But then there's this whole other side that you really don't think about. And I mean, even if you think about it, it's not for very long because it's sort of like it comes with the territory. But being an entrepreneur and being a business owner is very different skill set than being an interior designer and being creative. And so we found it really hard to merge those two, or even just to know what, you've got to find the skills and how you maneuver through your clients and become successful at what your trade is. But then there's this whole other world of being a business owner that if you don't think about that, you either have to learn it and again, fall in love with that part of the business, or else you have to find people to help you, because that's the one thing that I wish that I knew then, what I know now, is how hard it is to be a business owner in any community. There's so many things thrown at you that you have to know. You have to pivot. You have to. I laugh about it, and I think that if I knew all of those different things that you need to know as a business owner, I don't know if I would have jumped in. So let's do this. This will be great, because it's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And when you first start out, you try to do everything because you're starting a business. You are putting money into a business, but do you want to put money into your advertising, or do you want to pay a bookkeeper? Yeah. So you maybe try to do your own books, and then you realize, oh crap, I'm not good at doing books.
Yeah,
I should pay somebody to do this, right?
Well, and my mom, it was funny. I realized a year and a half in, it's like, oh, you actually have to submit GST, PST, all that. And because that was part of my mom's world, she sort of like hinted at it once. She's like, are you doing this? I'm like, no, I'm not. No. But it's sort of like, you just have to, thankfully you surround yourself with great family and friends, and you learn things that way too.
Yeah, exactly. And you read and you listen to podcasts and you Google stuff. I mean, all of that stuff helps you along the way. I had a friend similar to you, started a business, did not do any PST remittance, and got I think $10,000 or something PST bill. And she's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, we're like, well, you have to pay it. Like, that's the worst part, is that you have to. And she's like, I didn't know. And you oftentimes don't know what you don't know.
Yeah. Well, right? And you're getting, there's so many bills. Everything is out of pocket in the early stages. And I think, my background, we were able to save a lot of money because I was able to work on our website. That's when websites were becoming a very big tool for businesses. And advertising. So I designed everything. And so while Trevor was honing his skills as an interior designer and starting to really get his footing in our industry, I was still working in the background. I was, because we didn't have money, every bank said no to us because, again, you're looking at, small town Saskatchewan, interior design is not at the forefront of career paths. And so when we went around to every bank in the city, everyone looked at our business plan, which would have been, again, knowing now, again, how much work people put into business plans. We didn't really have a very strong business plan. We just had a lot of inspiration and we had a lot of ambition. And the banks just weren't throwing money out at two young guys saying they want to design houses. And so we got, I think, $2,500, if I remember correctly, a line of credit. And that doesn't go very far. I mean, we got a desk, we got a fax machine, we got another computer. And again, we were just, when you're young, you're kind of stupid. And you're not,
you don't know.
No, you're not thinking too far ahead. You're thinking, okay, I need to pay some bills. And you're also excited because there's also that part of it that's helping you fuel the energy, and fuel your just getting through to the next phase of your career and your, chosen path.
Yeah, for sure. It's so true. Okay, so you guys start out Atmosphere and really not much funding, not much, great at interior design, not much business. How the heck do you get from that spot? Like guys have done designing in Vancouver, Toronto, Calgary, San Francisco, San Diego, Phoenix, New Jersey. Like the list is so long. I know that your condo was just featured in like Canadian magazines and whatnot. How do you get from we have $2,500 to that? A huge thank you to our sponsor, Just For You Day Spa and Wellness. Just For You is Canada's premier day spa with 5 locations in Alberta and Saskatchewan. The award-winning luxury spa features Leah Reese cosmetics and iconic Betty jewelry that you can also purchase online. Visit www.justforyoudaySpa.com to book your service or to purchase a gift card.
Yeah, I don't, I think it was just, we knew that we were very dedicated in making this our full-time career. We weren't looking at this as being a part-time thing. We needed to focus all of our energy on it. And we didn't say no. And we still don't say no to people, rarely, because we built our business on very modest and very small design jobs. Anybody that gave us a shot, we would do it. And we just, again, one foot in front of the other, taking on projects, even when we didn't even know. I mean, that was a fortunate thing, is that we didn't have a mentor. There wasn't really an opportunity to get on the job training right out of university. It was just, we couldn't find employment. And so this was honestly our path, is that we had to do that. And we just kept, open. Every time the phone rang, we jumped at it. Every time a client needed something, we sacrificed a lot of personal time, and we still do, away from family, friends, because, clients have, created this great life for us, and we never lose sight of that. And so even back then, we didn't say no, and we still don't say no.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, I think that probably comes back to your small town Saskatchewan roots, right? Where you really are maybe community focused, where you want to do good for everybody, which is really cool. Yeah,
we feel, and it's such a personal experience with our clients. That's the one thing that, you have to keep sight of, is just that, you're inside people's homes. They're showing you their vulnerability. They're having to be very honest. You're talking about a lot of things that you would never talk to a complete stranger with. And so you really have to be, conscious of that when you're in somebody's home, and what that experience is like for them as well.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to talk about the book that we're both in. So we had the honor to write a chapter in Conversations Over Coffee. It's the 3rd volume, and we're recording this in the summer, but it will be available right now. I'm talking in the future when you're listening to this. But you were so kind to send me your chapter, so I did get a sneak peek, and I really enjoyed it. And you talked a lot about telling your truth, which really is what we're going to talk about today. So why is telling your truth important? And I don't know if you want to I don't want you to give away your chapter, because we want people to read the book, but I want you to just what is your truth? And then, of course, why is telling that important?
Yeah, I mean, again, when we both were involved and asked to be a part of this experience, there was, what do you talk about? I mean, I always feel like I talk a lot about our business, and Trevor and I are a little bit shy in terms of sharing personal parts of our life. We always, even as social media has expanded and people open up their doors and show everything about their personal life, we've always been a little bit guarded. And I think, our upbringing and also, being two gay young men in a small province, probably had a lot to do with that. But I find that, when I was thinking about, my path and how Trevor and I connected and how everything evolved, the act of speaking the truth is something many people take for granted. But I look at telling my truth from a perspective of, again, being a young man who wanted to, for years, but I was just too afraid. And so I wanted nothing more than to be able to have that moment. There was just so many times where I just wanted to scream. It was, keeping stuff in was just really taking its toll on me. But being honest is very powerful. It allows people to see who you really are. It allows people the opportunity to relate to you. It also allows you to form meaningful relationships, and it allows you to move freely in your life without hesitation or regret. Regret is one of those things that I try to always be sensitive to, because I feel like regret can be a huge obstacle for many. And being honest allows you to look clearly into what is it that you need in your life and what's most important to you.
Yeah, that's so true. And there's nothing worse than looking back and saying, I wish I would have done this instead of what I did.
And
right?
you can. I mean, I think you don't have the foresight to know which path to take always or which street to go down, but you just always have to know that, okay, I did that then. I didn't like the outcome. So how am I going to change, my decision making in the next time that I'm confronted with something? So it's always being aware of the mistakes you've made, the successes you found, and those are very powerful tools in getting you through, the next challenge that you're always going to face.
For sure. And I think this goes in both personal and business, right? Because if you're always following your values and your beliefs, and every decision that you make goes back to those things, you're never going to feel that regret.
No.
Right.
And I mean, as the older you get to, I'm 47 years old, and I think experience in life and in work it's like you can't put value on that, or it's so important. And I just think that it's you just always have to, listen to other people, understand where you've come from, and watching other people, find success and failure is, it's not judgment. It's just looking and putting yourself in other people's shoes and understanding of how they got there. And everyone's obstacles are very different. So you can't always relate, but you have to find some kind of common ground so that you just, learn, always learning.
For sure. And there's always a lesson in failure, right? Like there's always something that you can learn and develop yourself, develop your business. You take that little nugget, and sometimes it's really hard to find because you think, oh my God, this didn't work out, or I don't feel good about that decision, or whatever it is. But you take that one piece, learn from it, and move along, right?
Yeah. And it's, again, you people focus on the things that didn't go right more so than the things that went really well. And you tend to really, the heavy stuff and the things that you're really frustrated with, you focus on that and you don't celebrate enough. Truthfully, I think that is the biggest mistake, is that we're always afraid of being too boastful or to being too proud. But you know what? That's the one thing that I find is still a struggle for me, is that you can have 10 compliments and one person that says something bad about you, and that's what you focus on. And again, you just have to find ways to just, whatever you have to do, just start, being confident in who you are and all the things that you've done, and be proud of that.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think, you have a huge social media presence, and I don't know if you face a lot of the trolls or the bad comments, but it is true. You could have 100 people say something really great, and one person says something even slightly negative, and that's what we look at.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's maybe why we don't share as much personally as many other people in our industry, or else just any industry, is that you are putting yourself out there. And I mean, if someone doesn't like a room we designed, it's very easy for me to not take that too personally because it's not their house, or it's not their bedroom. So, I mean, I have to always remember that, our clients are happy. This was their directive. And so it doesn't really matter what other people think. If they don't like it, that's fine, because that's the beauty of life. Everybody has choices, and the decisions are yours.
Yeah, exactly. And they might not like it, but the next 50 people do. So who cares?
Right.
Yeah. Who cares? I just learned who cares maybe like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I was very much the same. Like, I don't want people to see too much. Like, I'm kind of an open book, but like my social media is food and sports. Like, it's not very exciting.
Yeah.
But it's like, I always used to worry about what other people thought. And now I actually don't really care. And I don't know if that's age, like if that's just growing into myself, or if that's a mindset. But if you don't like me, that's okay, because there's other people that do. And I don't care.
You don't want to change who you have to find out who you are. And if you know who you are, you don't allow people to change you. And that's the thing, is a lot of people get caught in that, this is what someone's expecting of me, but that's not who I am. And so they do start changing. And you really have to work hard on staying true to yourself so that all the other stuff doesn't misguide you and take you down the wrong path.
That's great advice. I love that know who you are little quote. I think that will be on our social media. Make sure you check that out. But it's true, because I always think I do the right thing. I treat other people with respect and how I would want to be treated. And if that doesn't work for you, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm going to be me. Yep. I love it. How do you convey your story to clients? Or do you talk about your story? Do you not? I mean, I know you're really open, but how does that go?
Well, I mean, I try to be open in all parts of our life. I mean, this only, it allows our clients to find trust in us at a very early stage in our relationship. So from a business standpoint, and for what we do as designers, it's an incredibly personally, emotionally woven experience. And so success for us is built on the trust our clients put in us. So this is a fundamental step for both Trevor and myself. It allows us to confidently guide them into a place we know they're going to be happy. If they see that I'm sharing authentic life experiences and that I'm telling my truth about anything, it allows them to be truthful in the feedback that we desperately need from them. If clients see that there's no hesitation from our responses, and it allows them to be comfortable talking about their lives and their fears and their hopes about their design project, that's only going to allow our end result to be successful. There should be no hesitation at all in answering some of these questions, like, what design style do you like? Or what do you feel you're drawn to? What areas of your life do you place huge importance on? Everybody is different. I love shoes. I probably spend more money on shoes than I need to, but that is something that I like. Versus pots and pans. I don't cook. Trevor and I don't like to cook. So, I mean, I will spend more money on, fashion than I do cooking. And how much money do you want to spend? This is one of the questions we ask, or people are so hesitant in sharing, but there's no judgment. I mean, what you want to spend is 100% your decision. We need to know some of these answers so that we can meet expectations. And again, this all goes back to when people tell that I am being honest and that I'm being vulnerable, that just cuts through, and we get to a very, very good place with our clients very quickly because of that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. If you're not honest, especially for you guys, you're coming into people's homes, you're doing maybe a reno or a new home that they want to be beautiful. If they're not honest to you about what they like, what they don't like, how much money they're spending, you're going to face some really big obstacles there.
Yeah. And, we're not judgy. I mean, that sometimes is the fear with people in interior designers, is that, oh, I'm so intimidated. And we get that a lot. It's like, why are you intimidated? It's like, we're just people. We're just two guys. We're coming in to help you with your house. This is what we love to do. It has no difference, what I do at my house and what we just, there should not be that roadblock for people to be intimidated by their designer. This is what we do. It's like doctors, it's like lawyers, it's like, accountants, it's any profession. I mean, there's a skill set that you need from them, and you just have to be honest. You have to get rid of the barriers and have some fun with it. I mean, we talk about toilets. We spend, sometimes an hour talking about toilets. So, I mean, you have to let your guard down. I mean, that's, it's not like, being an interior designer, it's like toilets. That's a great topic. But it goes back to like having these very personal, conversations with people.
Yeah, it's so true. And I faced that when I had my clothing stores also, because women and clothing is an awesome relationship. And it's also a terrifying relationship because unfortunately, a lot of women are not happy with their bodies, or there's an area of their body that they don't like. And they oftentimes don't tell you that. Yep. And we're professionals. That's why you go to a professional. That's why I phone you up and say, I want a beautiful bedroom, because I don't know what to do, but you do.
Yeah.
Right. So I always tell people, you come to me to find the dress. You don't like your stomach. Well, guess what? I have a dress that really camouflages that area or draws attention somewhere else so that you don't have to be self-conscious of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why you go to professionals.
Yeah. Fashion and design are very, very similar that way. I mean, you're right. It's like when someone doesn't feel great about their body, I mean, an outfit either makes it or breaks it. That outfit can make you feel amazing. And the interiors are the same way. I mean, if you come home to a space that does not have anything to say about you or do anything for you, I mean, that is a huge miss. You end your day and you start your day there. It should be something that feels like you, it feels comfortable. And it also fits within your budget. There's nothing worse than taking home an outfit or coming home to your kitchen that you overspent on that actually does nothing for you.
Yeah, no kidding. Hey, I lived in Saskatoon for 21 years, I think. And then when I got married, I moved to Swift Current, another town in Saskatchewan, into my husband's house. So I had my own house. That was my style, my design. And I moved into his space. And so I really struggled for a while because I felt like it wasn't my home.
Yep.
It was just me in his space. And so I started out with my office, which I record these from, but I made it really me. It's really feminine and pretty and pink. It's very pink. But I'm like, I work from home. I'm in here all day, every day. When I come into this room, I need to be inspired and feel comfortable. And wow, what a difference that makes, right? To have that in your life.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many blended families, and that is a big obstacle. It's a lot of things where people, with children, without children, there's, two lives merging, and the aesthetic of your home, it's a huge thing, and everybody needs to find a portion of their home where it's them, and then you have to compromise in a lot of areas too.
That's the tricky part. We did a bathroom and a kitchen makeover, I'll say. Not a reno. We didn't take walls down or anything, but our little 1957 house got a little bit more modern, and we both appreciated it. But I think the process, maybe my husband didn't really appreciate.
Yeah, it's stressful. It really is. And that's, I never want to intimidate people when they reach out. I don't want to say, okay, it's going to get really bad before it gets good. But I use that saying, I say it gets really ugly before it gets pretty. It is. You have to be prepared. Again, it's another honest explanation of how it's going to go. You're going to spend a lot of money. You're going to spend a lot more money than you wanted to, maybe. And you're going to have some things you just can't have. And so then there's that, regret and frustration where it's like, well, I want that. Well, you can't. It's not in your budget, or, it doesn't fit, or whatever reason, right? And so it's not always a wonderful experience. At the end, I think that it always finds a way to be a happy place. But yeah, the process is not always flowers and, butterflies.
Yeah. Actually, that little analogy there goes to business too, because sometimes things get really ugly and gross, and you have to deal with them.
Yep.
But you come out better the other side.
You do,
right?
Always.
Yeah, 100%. How has being openly gay affected or impacted your business?
Yeah, I would say early on, I mean, that was maybe one of the fears and the worry for both of us is that, when we began promoting our business together, we understood that most would assume that we were not only business partners, but also business or partners in life. And so, we just sort of expected that there may be some pushback. This was over 18 years ago. Things, sometimes they're a lot different. Sometimes it feels like we haven't changed all that much, but regardless, there was a fear of rejection and judgment from potential clients or others in the industry. And we also knew that by our self-promotion, that we're essentially coming out to the city of Saskatoon and area, whether we wanted to or not. So, we knew there would be potential clients that wouldn't reach out, and there'd be, we maybe be targeted in ways that others would not have been. But it comes back to, and I talk about this in my chapter, that we work so hard to find acceptance in ourselves that at that point in our life, there was no turning back. We had, still had found courage, but we weren't going to go back to where we were from and where the dark stages of our life. So telling the truth to this day has opened way more doors than closed them. Yeah.
And you come back to that, so what? I think, right? Like, we're gay and you don't like that? Well, so what? We don't care.
Yeah.
Right?
I used that, there was an Olympic athlete years ago. I can't remember who it was. It was a swimmer. And I read a quote and he said, being gay does not define me, but it's one of the things that I'm most proud of. And I read that and I thought, you know what? That's something that a lot of gay people don't allow themselves, is to be proud in who they are. And it stuck with me. I shared it on Facebook way back in the day where I was sharing more because Facebook was new and you sort of got caught in that, oh shit, did I just share? Like, sometimes you overshare. But I just think
at the beginning. But we all did. It was like, what you're doing. Mackenzie is eating lunch with a photo, like, now that's so lame, but we did it, right?
Well, the memories now when they come back, it's cringy. It's like, I said that. But no, it's like one of those things that it's just, it's no turning back.
Yeah, I agree. And then I guess overcoming obstacles that have arisen from telling your truth, I guess that's part of it, right? It's just, it is what it is and there's no turning back.
Yeah, I mean, and even, the saddest thing, we've been really lucky. I know a lot of friends and I read a lot of really horrible stories of people that have been victims of some really direct targeted abuse. That's very heartbreaking. And we've kind of, for the most part, if there's been silent stuff, you don't see it. So what happens behind other people's closed doors and what people, whisper and, whatever, you just move on and don't worry about that stuff. But, just this past June, and again, I've started being a little bit more vocal in showcasing how proud I am of being a part of the gay community, because I think that's still lacking. I think the public
for sure.
And parents and kids, gay or not, you need to see people that are living their lives free of, anything, just being who they are without hesitation. And so I made a public post on Facebook about pride, and there had been some things in the community that weren't really all that supportive of the gay community. And again, for some of us, it feels like we're going 10 steps back in the last couple of years.
Yes, I agree.
It's hurtful, and it's sort of like, but it's also our responsibility as business owners and people of part of our community to showcase that you are very proud. And so I did that. And a business owner who we've actually worked with over the years decided to publicly voice his opinion that not everybody wants the gay lifestyle for their children. And
Lord.
And he went on and it became this thing about, it actually started to become very threatening that, people are slowly going to stop supporting you, and you will find that in a very short time, your business will close and that your business will suffer. And, I had to obviously jump ship and abandon that conversation and mute it because I just thought this is just gross.
Yep.
But it's sort of like, I wish people would just strip back all of their fears and their judgment of other people. It's like, I don't choose. Nobody chooses anything. The way you're born. And so for you to act in that way and to feel like you have the right to tell somebody who they are is wrong is so awful. And it happens all the time. But I mean, if there's not enough people showcasing how proud, and that's the whole thing of pride, it's not that we deserve better or we deserve more than anyone else. It's just this opportunity to allow yourself to be vocal and be proud of who you are. Because for a lot of people, that takes years to find. And for many, sadly, they never realize that. Their lives are ended because of suicide. Or their lives are lived in fear, and they never do ever share who they really are. And so their lives people are living quietly desperate lives, and it needs to stop. There needs to be more support for anybody. It doesn't matter what background or who you are. You need to walk in someone else's shoes a little bit more often, rather than going onto your Facebook page or, texting people and just having this, feel like it's your right to say that you don't like who somebody is. It's just wrong.
I totally agree. And a couple of things. First of all, for that other person, that comment or that dialogue that he had says way more about him and the kind of person that he is than says about you. Yeah. Right? Because he just showed the world what kind of person he is. Yeah. And as a business owner, looking at another business owner, I wouldn't go to his business.
Yeah. Well, right? It goes back to that thing, though. It's like 10 people can tell you how much they respect you and how much they love you. And again, I was surrounded by people that did that always. But it just takes one person. And you imagine somebody that isn't as strong in who they are, or anyone that doesn't have the support system that I do. If somebody, a complete stranger, comes up to you and says something along those lines about that your life isn't meaningful or your life isn't worthy or equal to others, how do you think someone that's in a fragile state can take that? And how do they move forward? It's just
100%.
And again, it's nothing. It's not just isolated to being in the gay community. There are so many, and we all see it all the time. Racism is increasing. There's just so many things that people are just being more vocal about what they don't like and they don't want to see.
I know. And I think social media makes it so much easier because they're hiding behind a computer, right? They're just typing. And it really bothers me. I don't even think bothers that angers, maybe. I mean, I'm straight. I'm married to a man, but I have a lot of gay friends and they're gay. It's just a part of what they are. I mean, it's no different. I'm a short woman. Do you think that I want to be short? Do you think that I want to be tall? It doesn't matter. I am what I am, right? Yeah. Like you just are what you are, whether it's race or your sexual orientation, whatever it is. We're just all who we are.
When you have to do the best with what you were given. And that's the ultimate thing, is that everyone can relate to that. We all were given something that we would love to change. Something, I would love to be taller. I would like to have more muscles. I would like to have blonde hair. I would like all these things. Superficial, most of it.
100%.
But you have to just make the best with what you got. And when you have people that support you, that's so much easier. But if you keep hearing in your ears that it's wrong. And again, going back to the world around you, sometimes people forget, well, you have a great family. What does it matter? It's like, but the world is louder. The world is extremely loud. And it doesn't matter that these are strangers. When you have whispers of positivity in this year and screams of hate up here, what do you think is going to be the thing that you hear in your head?
Yeah, for sure. And that's why if you believe in something, we all have to stand up for it and talk about it and be present when those times come. Pride Month, be present. Yeah. That's me going to Pride events to show my support. Yeah. Right?
Well, it's even like, again, the simplest act of putting a rainbow flag or a sticker in a window is all that someone needs to do. And even that is too much for people. I know somebody that works in a very well-known grocery store, and they were just bombarded with this increase of people that didn't like that. that they didn't like that they were showing support to a community. And it's like, I don't understand how that is still a relevant topic, and that people are still trying to find strength and still trying to find ways to make that opinion, louder than it ever has been.
Yeah, I agree. And you're right. It does seem like we're moving backwards. Like 10 years ago, it seemed like we were further ahead. And I don't know what the reason for that is.
Yeah, but we have to refuse that. We're not going to let that happen. We're just all going to focus on positivity, focusing on supporting each other, small businesses, large businesses, applauding people when they do well. But most importantly, loving and supporting people for being who they are. That's very easy, and it doesn't take training. It doesn't take anything. It's just being a kind human being. Exactly.
And I think the more that we are like you and tell our truth and are open about things, the more accepting people are. Because if everyone does it, then everyone's in the same spot, right?
Yeah. Well, at the end of my chapter, I actually didn't even know, I wrote the last sentence, and it ends with, you are the dream of truth. And it's really true. I just, for 18 plus years of my life, I wanted so badly to tell the truth, which should be something everybody gets you should be able to do that without any problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, 100%. So we just talked about obstacles. What successes have you had because you told your truth?
Well, and I think, it goes back to, every part of the success of our business is because we've been truthful. And, if I wouldn't have told the truth, I wouldn't have met Trevor. And so there wouldn't be a business. So when I look back and, look forward at all the things that we have on the go and the things that we've done in the past, I still get goosebumps, because the uphill battle was so heavy that I had no idea that if we could even make it a goal in Saskatoon, but we wanted to make it our home and our business home. That, I look at, when I go on our website, and I'm because I still work on our website and I update it every time we're in a publication. I pinch myself every time, because it really, I don't know. I'm just so fortunate that people have opened their doors to us. Even when we first started, it's like, we didn't know what we were doing. We had passion and we had vision, and Trevor had very good training. I had good training. But we were faking it till we made it. We found a way, we studied, we did all we could. But it's just sort of, I think it goes back to the connection we have with our clients, is that they don't see hesitation in us. They don't see that we're, when someone asks a question and we say, I don't think that's a great idea. That's part of what we have to do in our business. And so people responded to that, and it just sort of took off. And again, being who you are does amazing things. And that's, one of the biggest, things that I can share with people is that, once you're who you are and you become comfortable in your own skin, great things happen. And our business is 100% a result of that people saw who we were. We weren't hiding. We weren't pretending to be people we were not. And people feel that. You can't deny that.
No, I agree. When you're authentic, people sense it, and people are drawn to that.
Yeah.
They want real people, right?
Exactly.
People want real. They want real people that have emotions and feelings and thoughts and beliefs and everything that they can relate to. And that's how you build connections.
Yeah, I love that about the stories and the conversations and the experiences we have with such a wide amount of clients. It allows us to grow, and we learn things from every relationship that we're in. If I look at all of the very strong relationships we have with our clients, like best friends over the years, like that is a result of, that's the best part of our business, is that we have now personal relationships with these people. And it was all because of being in their homes and talking about what they wanted for their life, what they wanted for their children's lives, what they wanted for their grandparents. There's lots of times where people will have their parents move back into their home and take care of them in the later years of their lives. And so, the way that people look at the next chapter of whatever that is in their life, we're part of that. We're part with clients when they have their first children, through death, through all these things. We're working through people through the ups and downs of life, and we're being ourselves, and we're being empathetic and sympathetic and just emotional about all these things. It only leads to great things.
I totally agree. That was one thing that I never had the foresight, or didn't look ahead at relationships. I knew I'd have clients when I opened my business that would come back, but I didn't realize, and that I think was one of my greatest things I took from my business was really friendships with people and developing those relationships. And you're right, people got married and had children, and people lost a loved one, and all of these things that you really your lives become intertwined with your clients, which was really surprising to me and awesome.
Well, and you can't get there by not being truthful. I mean, that's the thing, is that you can smell a lie a mile away. But I think when you let your guard down and you show who you are from the inside out, you're gifted every day.
100%. Do you have a most important lesson that you've learned along your journey?
The most important lesson. I think support. I mean, that's the one benefit for Trevor and I being business partners. I think going at it alone is, I think, very difficult. And again, being, some of the challenges that we faced together. One of our early sayings that we say to each other is, even when times are tough, we still have fun. I said it last week. There's always going to be hurdles, and there's always going to be things that are going to cause tension. But the lessons is you have to find, there needs to be someone in your life that is your rock. And in business, I mean, people always think that we're crazy that we've been able to merge our personal lives and our business together. But that is I don't know how else we would have done it. I really don't. I look at sort of things of had we worked for other people and how that would have been. It was such a natural fit for us that that's a very strong part of our business, is having that support system within the business. And you need it in life too. So again, it's sort of like trying to build that great army of friends and support system around you so that you can openly talk about how good things are, but then also at the same time, how bad things can be. Bad doesn't have to be anything to do with money. It's just, you can wake up one day and just not feel good. And if you don't have an opportunity to share why or explore why, that just starts to become heavy on your shoulders, and you're just carrying that weight onto the next project or the next whatever that is. And so you just need to find your support system that allows you to openly talk about all the things that you're dealing with.
I agree. And whether that's friends, family, your partner, other business people, I mean, networking within the business community is really important, because when you have those relationships with other business owners, you can talk about that stuff, because guess what? They're going through it too, or they went through it, or they're going to go through it, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter the business. We all have the same struggles and the same challenges. Right. It doesn't really matter what industry you're in. You will have a common ground, and there'll be something that someone has obviously dealt with and did well at getting through it, or didn't do well. And so you take those little bits of information and you form your own, plan of attack. And you start understanding what parts of it that fit right with you, and you make adjustments as you go.
Exactly. And going back a few minutes ago, you said, when we first started out, we didn't know what we were doing. And guess what? No one does. I had no clue what I was doing. I was just fake it till you make it. You hit some stumbling blocks, some roadblocks, you figure it out, you move ahead. And every single person that I've ever talked to about business at one point or another said, I had no clue what was going on or what I was doing, but I got through it. I figured it out. I asked for help, whatever it is. We've all been there. And I think that's part of being an entrepreneur.
It is. Well, I think you look at people, and sometimes you get discouraged when you look at someone that is extremely successful. They are so charismatic. They suave, everything about them is and you kind of you get this hate on them. And it's all you have to think is they're a fraud. they're crying in their bedroom at night. They're falling to pieces just like you. It's no different. I mean, it's just that everybody finds the way to build that confident front, which you have to do. You have to be able to always be positive and confident. But I mean, everyone has had their fail moments. And you have to remember that it's not all, amazing. And sometimes people even look at our business and it probably for some looks like it just was this rise that was very easy, but it wasn't. Nothing's easy.
No, nothing good is easy. You have to put in the work and the time and you will figure it out. If you're listening right now, you're just starting out, don't let this scare you. But everybody, I mean, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, they had problems, right? The Waltons at Walmart, they had problems, but they got through it. And more times than not, it makes you a better business person, a better person personally, and you find more success from those things.
You sure do.
Yeah. Curtis, thank you so much. I loved having you on. I'm going to put links to our book because our book will be available. You can buy a digital copy. Wow. That's some new English words. Copy, or you can actually buy a physical book. Both Curtis and I will have those available. But where can people find you? If they want to know more or they want to learn more about you, where should they go?
Yeah, so our website, atmosphereid.ca, is where all of our portfolio pictures are. You can also follow me on Instagram, Mr. Curtis Elmy. Funny story there is I started Instagram when it was new, and I just entered my name as you would, and didn't realize that was going to be my handle. And so my name. And so it took off, and we've never really, Atmosphere doesn't really have an Instagram location, so it's under my name. And we're located downtown Saskatoon on Avenue B in Riversdale. We just, we're available all the time. We can, people see us around town, but we love being in Saskatoon. We love everything about our city. We're happy to be here.
Awesome. I love it. I know people are going to reach out to you. So thank you so much again to everybody listening. Go follow Kurt. I have to say your Instagram page is awesome. And you. I'm like a design lover, so it's a treat for me anyways. So thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to Winning. Be sure to subscribe to get all of our new episodes. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media and leave a rating and review wherever you listen to Winning. To catch all of the latest from us, you can follow Winning Podcast on Instagram at winning_podcast, Facebook at Winning Podcast, and on Twitter at Winning Pod. Winning was created and is produced by me, Mackenzie Killshaw. Music created by Summer Furby. Editing by Seth Armstrong. Special thanks to Shauna Foster for voicing our opening. And of course, a huge thank you to this episode's guest. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.